Welcome to the Soul Craft Your Life podcast. My name is Carmen Marshall, and I'm a life design and manifestation expert, a seven-figure entrepreneur, wellness educator, and a dance teacher. And I'm passionate about helping you create a magical and fulfilling life. Whether you want to discover your purpose, learn how to attract financial abundance, or create more health, balance, joy, and connection in your life, the Soul Craft Your Life podcast has got you covered. One part strategy and one part soul. Each week we explore both the practical and the spiritual with intriguing experts and fascinating human beings, all sharing their wisdom to help expand what we think is possible for our own lives. The goal? To help you create a life you love on your own terms that stems from your soul. Let's dive in and discover what this life has to offer each of us. Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to episode 29, How to Trust the Process While Your Dreams Manifest. So, the gap between where you are now and what you want to manifest can be one of the most frustrating parts of the journey. And even if you're following my 7-step no-fail manifestation process that I teach in my Create Your Dream Year program, or even if you've downloaded my 7 Sneaky Reasons Why You're Not Manifesting free PDF and you're doing all the things, there will still always be that gap because we're not in a reality where we can just wish something and we have it. Maybe that will happen in our lifetime. I'm not so sure about that, but we definitely can't just, blink our eyes, twinkle our nose, and we have our manifestation right away. So there's always going to be that gap. And this is when we can lose faith, not only in our manifestation ability, but in manifesting in general. And we can start to think it just doesn't work. But it does. It's just that you're in the gap between where you want and what you want in your life and where you are now. And it's just a gap. That's all it is. So what we actually want to get you to and to feel and believe is this beautiful quote that comes from Course of Miracles. And it's one of my most favorite quotes in the world. So it goes, "Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait and wait without anxiety." Isn't that just so beautiful? Let me read it again. Those who are certain of the outcome, so we want to be certain that we're going to manifest the thing that we desire, can afford to wait, so wait with patience, and wait without anxiety. And that's what we want to be able to do, is just know that this manifestation is going to happen and not be anxious in the gap. So how do you actually do that? So I'm going to go through some of my top things that I do myself that I've worked with for so many years, worked with clients, but things that are at a deeper level and that will really help you navigate that gap and also really enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, our life is actually mostly made up of the gaps. So we have this goal, we're in the process of manifesting it. Once we actually manifest it, it's just a very small blip in time, but our actual life is made up of those gaps. So we have to enjoy the journey because otherwise we're just going to have these little blips of time that we love and we're not loving our whole life. So how do we navigate the gap between where we are now and what we want and actually really enjoy it? Like just love our life in the gap. So this is what this podcast is going to be all about. So number one, what your manifestation absolutely needs, and this is the biggest thing, it needs time and space. So again, we can't just click our fingers and be I Dream a Genie, even though I would love to be I Dream a Genie. We're going to have the time and space it needs for that manifestation to happen. Now, there's a couple of analogies that I absolutely love that I think will help you too. So the first one is you want to think about your manifestation as a jigsaw puzzle. And just like a jigsaw puzzle, it takes time to fit the pieces together. And it's the same thing with your manifestation. So you want to think of you and the universe co-creating, making this magnificent jigsaw puzzle that is just going to take some time to put the pieces in and get them to align right to create this amazing, beautiful jigsaw. So that's the number one thing that helps me because I know, and if you've done jigsaw puzzles before, especially the 1,000 pieces or more, which is what your beautiful dreams are. They're not these like simple little jigsaw puzzles that a 2-year-old can do. They're the 1,000-piece, 2,000-piece, big, beautiful dream. It's going to take a little while to fit the pieces together. The other thing that I think is so fascinating is that every action that we take creates a change in the quantum field. So this is all the quantum energetics of, and of course we know everything is energy. So every aligned action that we take changes the quantum field, and it then pulls the manifestation that much more quicker to you. So we can actually affect the manifestation, of course. So you want to imagine it. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow. It's probably a 20-year-old movie. So good though, because her actions determine a different outcome, a different possibility for her life. And it's the same thing for us. So every action that we take will then change the quantum field to pull it into us. And what I like to really explain to my clients is that every action that you take that is more courageous and more authentic, those are the things that change the quantum field that much more quickly. So what can you do that feels scary? What can you do that you can do courageously, bravely? What can you do taking aligned action that is so authentically you? Those two things, courage and authenticity, create changes in the quantum field behind us, like behind the scenes, that will pull the thing that you want to you more quickly. So again, we need time and space for our manifestation to happen, for this big, beautiful jigsaw puzzle to be created, for the universe and you to put the interlocking pieces together. But we also know that every aligned action that we take, especially if it's courageous and authentic, is going to create changes in the quantum field, which will then bring our manifestation that much more quickly to us. Number 2, focus. But I'm also going to tell you number 3, which is non-focus. And of course, this is just life. Like we always have these paradoxes, masculine energy and feminine energy, yin and yang, day and night. So this is just the beauty of life, where it can seem like they're two opposite things, but actually that's how life works, is actually being able to hold two opposite things that actually work together. So let me talk about the first one first, which is focus. So I talk about focus so much because it's one of the things I learned when I was 27 that changed my whole life. And it was when I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. There were two concepts in there that I always talk about. One is the power of focus, and the other is when you want something yourself in your life, if you can help others get the thing that they want, that will actually help you get what you want. And so it's a whole law of reciprocity and actually helping other people first, which will then help you, which I just think is the most beautiful concept. In the book, Napoleon Hill talks about having a magnifying glass. And if you take that magnifying glass over a field of dry grass and you just keep moving it all over the place, you're never going to create a fire. However, if you take that magnifying glass and you keep it in one place on that dry grass, the sun is going to beam through that magnifying glass and start a fire, like a combustion. And that's the power of focus. We can't be consistently distracted by every shiny object over here, over there, because we're never going to get that energy to really ignite the thing that we want. So it's the same thing with your manifestation, is having the focus on what you want, creating energy around it. Because the more energy we have around anything, because everything is energy, the more quickly it will manifest as well. Now, how I like to think of focusing, and there's many things that I often teach, things like having dream boards, things like having manifesting altars, which I'll talk about a little bit later on in this podcast. But what I really think is one of the most valuable things for focus is simply reminding yourself of what you want. And especially when you hit worry or concern. So this is my 3-step process that I always talk about everywhere, on Instagram, in emails, in all my courses. So what it is getting clear on what you want, listening to the pings, and taking aligned action. And those 3 things are 3 of the most important things you can do for manifestation. So getting clear on what you want, listening for the pings, which are the intuitive hits, and then taking aligned action. Because those intuitive hits are the way that the universe speaks to you. So it's the gentle nudges, like say, for example, if you're like, ooh, I should go to this restaurant today. I should go work out at this particular gym today. I should take this class. I should go have coffee over here. Listen to that. You'll get it as kind of like a pull, like an urge. Listen to those pings, because that is the way that the universe speaks with you. And also, it's like a gentle nudge towards your dreams, as long as you're being clear on what you want. So a good example would be, if I ever get worried about something or I'm concerned, I simply pull out my journal and I'm like, what do I want? And so let's say I'm feeling concerned about one of my goals, or maybe I have like a disconcerting conversation with somebody. So any of those things, I just pull out my notebook. What do I want? So I write down again, just, freestyle. What do I want? That reminds me again of my desires. Then I listen for the pings throughout the day. Call this person, go here. And then I take the aligned action. I actually do it. So you can't just like hear the ping, but then you don't do anything. You have to take the aligned action. And this is the difference between manifesting or just being someone who does meditation and yoga all day, but doesn't take the aligned action. Meditation and yoga are great, but we have to take the aligned action. So this is how I like to think of focus. What is it that I want? Writing it down. Listen to the pings, the intuitive hits during the day, and then take aligned action. So number 3 is the non-focus, which can seem like it's a totally opposite thing. And it is, but again, this is how life works. Yin and yang, masculine, feminine, day and night, etc. So what you want to think of, and I love stories or metaphors because it just helps explain the concept that much better. So if you have a kettle boiling on the stove or you put something in the microwave, you can't just watch that kettle. It takes forever to boil. And it's the same thing with your dream. If you just like continually, let's say, for example, like money, you're trying to manifest money, but every day, 5 times a day, you're checking your bank account. And every day how much am I spending? Like you're just obsessed with it. That is too much focus. Okay. That is what's going to actually create stress, which is actually part of number 4, having no stress goals. So we want this relaxation as well. So just like you don't want to watch a kettle boil, you want to put the kettle on and then go and do something else. Same thing with what we want to manifest is we want to be really clear, write what we want, listen to the pings, take aligned action, but we're also just living our life and really creating this life that we love and the journey of it, not obsessing about our goals because then that's going to create stress. And we also want no stress goals. There's another analogy that I like as well. I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures where there are a whole bunch of dots. And if you just look at the dots, you can't see the picture behind it. But if you relax your eyes slightly, it's almost like you let them blur slightly, like let your gaze blur. All of a sudden, you can see this beautiful image behind the dots. So I don't know if you've ever seen that type of picture. I need to actually figure out what that's called. But that's also a really good analogy. It's like you know what you want, but then you just relax. You relax your eyes, you relax your life. So again, it doesn't mean that you're not taking aligned action. It's not that you're not clear, but you have a relaxation around it. The best way to do this is to keep doing things that you love. And so every single day, even while you're manifesting and going towards your goals, you're thinking about what can I do today that would bring me joy? What are some of my passions? Like, what can I do today that would just feel so juicy and so yummy? How can I help somebody else? So you're clear on your goals, but you're not getting obsessive. You're concentrating on relaxing around your goals and enjoying your life every single day. This is so, so important. But again, if you can hold both concepts in your mind, yes, I want to have focus, but I want to be relaxed around my goals and not become obsessive and stressed about them. Number 4, which really leads on to this perfectly, is a relaxed nervous system. So manifestation works so much better, and also it will come to us more quickly, but also help us be patient in the gap, is by relaxing our nervous system. And I like to call it no stress goals. So again, not obsessing about them and enjoying the journey. This really kind of ties into number 3. I could almost put them together, but I like to separate them out so you can be really clear. Okay, I need to not focus too much, not be obsessed, and I need to relax my nervous system. So how can you relax your nervous system? So again, by doing things that you love, by getting out in nature, by being with animals, by being with children, by spending time with your friends, by laughing, but anything where you're just like, I feel good, like I feel relaxed, versus being this tightly coiled spring. And again, another analogy I like to think about is if I'm tightly coiled, if I'm too worried, if I'm too obsessive about anything, it's like my manifestation can't even get in. It can't flow through me. It will just bang up against me and bang off, like pop off against me, almost like a super coiled spring. Like if something hits that spring, it just like pops off. It can't flow through you. And we also want to think of life flowing through us, or manifestations flowing through us, life force flowing through us. So if we're obsessive, if we're not relaxed, if we're tightly coiled, things can't flow through us. So yes, in your life, when you're thinking about manifesting your goals, do you feel stressed about them? Do you feel tightly coiled? Do you worry about them a lot? I heard this great quote as well the other day, that worrying is like praying for the thing that you don't want to happen. Isn't that good too? And the reason being is that anything we think about with emotion and detail, because the subconscious loves emotion, detail, and repetition. So whether it's something good that we're thinking about or something bad that we're thinking about, like a worry, we will bring it towards us, because the subconscious loves emotion, detail, and repetition. So if you are worrying about something, you're actually praying for the thing that you don't want. Hello, gorgeous soul. Carmen here, and I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that I'm doing a really special Soul Flow dance class online. So you're probably familiar with Soul Fit, my sassy, easy to follow choreography dance class. Soul Flow is my second dance modality in the Soul Series dance method, and it allows you to just relax, drop into your body, and move in ways that naturally feel good to you, with no choreo, no need to learn steps or perfect a routine. The goal? To feel alive, free, relaxed, and just great in your own body, so that you can show up in life even more as your most authentic, fully expressed version of yourself. So you probably know I hold live classes weekly here on the Sunshine Coast, Australia. But now, for the first time ever, I'm going to hold an online 75-minute Soul Flow dance class on Saturday, Sunday, July 13th and 14th, with times for the Americas, UK and Europe, and of course, Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. So go to soulseriesdance.com. That's SOULSERIESDANCE.com, and I'll put it in the show notes, of course, as well, to reserve your space and get all the details. And then join us to move in the comfort of your own home to experience how dance can literally change your life, your business, and your relationships. Dance is my secret weapon for changing vibration, manifesting, building my businesses, and bringing more joy and purpose into everything that I do. So I literally can't wait to share Soul Flow dance with you. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. So as soon as I catch myself in worry or concern, that's when I just pull out my journal again. And I'm like, what is it that I want? And then I listen to the pings and I take aligned action. There is something with that. It almost feels a little bit counterintuitive sometimes. Like when I'm worried, how could actually sitting down and writing down what I want bring me out of that worry? But it actually does, because you get clear, you get excited. And then of course you're just, okay, handing it over to the universe. The universe is going to bring you a ping or an intuitive hit, and then you're going to take aligned action, which then gets you into the driver's seat again, which I love. Like this really neat concept that I always think of. I am co-creating with the universe. So I have a lot of say in the matter. I have a lot of design in it. I have a lot of control over it. But even bigger, we are actually the universe. Like we literally are the universe. Like we're made from the universe. And so when you think about that, that means that you have so much input into what and how you design your life. So it's even more that you're just co-creating with the universe. You actually are the universe. So I'm going to do another podcast on that because it's a little bit more esoteric, but it will really help you step into, wow, like I actually am the universe. It's even more than co-creating. I actually am creating. But we'll talk about more of that on another podcast. I do digress a little bit. Okay, so relaxing the nervous system. If you can just think about, okay, well, how could I relax my nervous system? And every time you just catch yourself in worry or concern, what could you do? And again, as I mentioned, there's so many things: going for a walk, going for a run, doing something you love, connecting with a friend, writing down what you want, listening to the intuitive hit, taking aligned action, etc. There's so many things that we can do. But all it takes from you is just listening and feeling when you start to get stressed or concerned, and then replacing it with something else. Number 5, matching frequency. So in the gap, if we can match the frequency of our goals and our desires, that will pull them into us that much more quickly and help us enjoy the journey. So again, this podcast is all about how can we enjoy the gap? How can we have patience for our manifestation? And at the same time, that will actually bring it in more quickly. So, how you match the frequency of your goals. So, we actually have to become a vibrational match for our goals. So, the easiest way is to think, when I have achieved the thing that I want, how would I walk around? How would I be? What would I do in the morning? What would I be thinking? What would I be wearing? What would I be feeling? And then start to do that now. Because the beautiful thing about your subconscious is it doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining and what is real. So if you start imagining, this is how I would act, this is how I would be, this is how I would dress, this is how I would feel, then that's what's going to pull it into you more quickly, because you are actually the vibration of your goals. And again, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's imagined or what is real. Just like in a dream, when we imagine something scary or something really good, we can either feel really happy or really scared in our dream as if it's real. And it's the same thing in life. So as much as you can, and this is kind of, it has to be more of a practice, because we just get so busy in our life that we start reacting to everything. This is where you have to be very proactive, where you're thinking, how would I act? How would I be? And even if you did that once a day, like it just becomes a practice, like maybe you meditate, maybe you exercise, maybe you cook your meals, you brush your teeth, I know, you take a shower. It just becomes a practice, maybe just once a day. Then you do it twice a day, then 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. And then you start actually walking around as if you were this person that already has the thing that you want. Not only will you enjoy the gap more, but you will pull it in so much more quickly. This one's huge, but it does take you actually being very proactive with it rather than reacting to your life. If you have questions about this one, please do message me, because this is the one I find clients is the hardest to get their head around and also to do, because you really have to have it be a practice. Number 6, alignment with your authentic code. So your manifestation has to be aligned with your authentic code. Now, I teach authentic code a little bit differently than most people, but essentially it's your really deep values, like the things that you value the most. And it can take a little while to figure them out, but I like to have people have 3 to 5 that are your top. So there'll be about 10, but then 3 to 5 that you can just rattle off. You know, if anyone was to ask you, what is your authentic code? I like to get you to a place where you can just rattle them off very quickly. Now, your manifestation has to fit your authentic code, because if you say, for example, my authentic code, I'll just share it here so that it will make sense if you haven't worked with me. My authentic code is freedom, purpose, wellness, abundance, and ease. And nature, I have it like a number 6 that always vies with ease. So if I'm trying to manifest something that isn't aligned with my authentic code, it's going to be really jangly through the whole process, because it's not really what I'm all about. So it's really important to know your authentic code so that you can make decisions on what you want and that your ladder is based up against the right wall. So super important. But the other side to living in alignment with your authentic code is to actually make sure that you're practicing your authentic code. So for example, if wellness is in my authentic code, but I'm not actually doing things to make me more well, like I'm not exercising, I'm going to bed too late, I'm not drinking enough water, I'm drinking a lot of alcohol and eating sugar. If I am not living my authentic code, it's going to be really hard for me to pull in the thing that I want that I say is about wellness. So say, for example, if I want to open a wellness studio, or I want to increase the numbers in my classes, and that's kind of in the wellness arena of my dance classes. If I'm not living my authentic code myself, so if I'm not doing things that make me more well, I'm not going to be the frequency of my goal. And so it's going to be very hard for me to pull that in, and it's going to be quite a arduous and jangly process. So not only do you want to make sure that your goals are based on your authentic code, but you also want to make sure that you're living your authentic code. Does this mean that you have to be perfect? No. Does it mean that you have to arrive? No. Because remember, life is a journey. Wellness is especially is a journey. It just means that you have to be putting the effort in, so that if someone was, like if the universe was looking down on you, not as in like you're lower, but just the universe being up high, the cosmos being above us. If they were looking down at me or looking down at you and just saying, oh yeah, she's really trying. That's all it takes. It's not about perfection. It's just about being on the journey. Number 7. I'm going to do number 7 very quickly because we've kind of talked about this. Taking aligned action. So this goes back to number 2, focus, where I like to think about focus, about getting clear on what I want, listening to the pings, the intuitive hits, and taking aligned action. And why I actually separated this out is we have to take aligned action. And this is sometimes where courage is needed. And one of my things I did earlier this year, I went to a retreat called Path of Love. And my whole thing there was, I am going to do everything that I'm scared of. Like anything that I feel nervous about, I'm going to be the first one to put up my hand and do. And it changed my life because I really realized like when I'm courageous, everything else aligns. And so taking aligned action when you get that ping sometimes takes courage because it might be like, ooh, like I've got to start speaking in front of people, or I need to do this thing that I've never done, or I need to have this conversation with this person. But taking aligned action is the way that we manifest, because manifest is a verb. It doesn't happen to you. Like you have to be in part with the process. We have to take aligned action. We actually have to be in the driver's seat for creating this life that we want. Number 8, working with your subconscious. Now, this is twofold. Working with your subconscious in this example means clearing limiting beliefs as they come up. Now, you don't have to worry about so much, okay, what limiting beliefs do I have? Because they will come up as they're meant to be healed. So let's say that you're trying to create more money, and then you start thinking this thought like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm like, who am I to want to make this extra money? That's where you know the work is. And this is what's so beautiful about limiting beliefs is they will come up as needed for you to heal. So don't worry too much about what are my limiting beliefs, just let them come up. And when they come up, then deal with them then. The thoughts and what we need to heal in the moment always arises in the moment that we need to heal it. So that's number 1, just working with the subconscious, clearing limiting beliefs as they come up. And really, limiting beliefs are anytime you get triggered, anytime you feel judgmental about somebody else, anytime you have a negative thought about yourself, and also any thought that isn't supportive of what you want. And that really simplifies it. So if you're thinking, okay, is this a negative thought or a limiting belief? If it is not supportive of what you want, then it's a limiting belief. So that just really makes it so easy. And so then you want to start working with that, because in the process of manifestation, the only blocks that are going to be there are your limiting beliefs. And as you start walking towards the things that you want to manifest, the limiting beliefs are going to naturally rise. So then you have the opportunity to work with them. So it's just a beautiful process. And this is how your inner guidance system and your higher self knows how to heal you. So again, getting clear on what we want, listening to the intuitive hits, taking aligned action. And then anytime we feel like we're getting triggered, we're judgmental, we have a negative thought about ourselves or a thought that doesn't support what we want, that's the limiting belief that you can work with. The other way that is really beautiful to work with the subconscious, and I talked about this before, the subconscious loves emotion, detail, and repetition. So whatever you have a lot of emotion, detail, and repetition around, whether that's something you're obsessing about, worrying about, or something that you want. Okay, we want the want, we don't want the obsessing. But it also loves metaphors. It loves stories. It loves images. That's why I always like to give you examples like the jigsaw puzzle or the quantum field shifting every time that you take an aligned action. Because the more we think in stories, it really affects our subconscious, because the subconscious thinks in metaphors. It thinks in archetypes. It thinks in emotions and feelings and colors. So one of the things that I started teaching this year, I had done it in the past and it didn't really resonate with me, but just this year I started it again, so I must have just been ready. It's a manifestation altar. And I'm going to do a separate podcast on this. But just for right now, all that would mean is think of 2 or 3 things that you want to manifest and find one thing per thing that you want to manifest that symbolizes that for you and put it on a table. So I just have a little table that's behind my couch, but where I can see it from where I work. And I just have items that mean to me the things that I want to manifest. Just do that for now. So just think of 2 or 3 things that you want to manifest. Find an item that symbolizes that, put them on a little table, and that's enough. And then I'll actually do a separate podcast about this. So I just started working with this with my 90-day Create Your Dream program, and the women loved it. And it really helps you work with the subconscious in a way that doesn't take any effort. So it's a really beautiful practice. But for now, just do that simple little thing. What are 2 to 3 things that you want to manifest? Find one thing each that represents that manifestation to you. Put it somewhere that you can see all the time so that you don't even think about it. And then that will help actually communicate with your subconscious. And I'll do a separate podcast on that. All right. And then let's wrap up this podcast with one more thing. This or better. So what you want to know is that if you can always say in your manifestation that this is what I want, this or better. And then that leaves it open to your inner guidance, the universe, that maybe there's something totally better for you. So a good example is last year when I thought I had manifested my dream career path of what I wanted to do, and it didn't work out. But along the whole way, I was like, this or better. And it wasn't the right thing for me. It didn't align with my authentic code. There were other things that I needed to do that have come into fruition. I'm so glad I didn't go to Lombok. But I kept saying this or better, because that opens it up to the universe that there's something better that you are meant to be doing, also to your inner guidance. And so this is where we can trust the process. But we have to start on the process. We have to actually declare what we want, and then that gets you started on the path. We have to be clear on what we think we want now, but then as we go along, this or better, because we're going to evolve. There might be something that the universe knows is better for us. We don't even know. The things that have come into my life, sometimes I'm like, I could not even have imagined that or put that on my dream board. So I always end everything that I'm desiring, that I want to manifest, this or better, so that I leave room for something that is even better than I can imagine. And if you look at your life, that has probably happened so many times. The thing that you actually got was so much better than you could have even imagined. So that will help you trust the process as well, and also enjoy the gap. All right, so let's wind this up. So there's 9 things that you can do to not only trust the process, but enjoy the gap. Because again, remember, the gap is where we spend most of our life, and we want to enjoy the journey. It's not just achieving the goal, it's actually the journey that we want to love and to savor and to revel in. Because when we're 100 and we look back at our life, there's going to be maybe like 200 things that we really wanted to manifest. But those are just little blips in that 100 years. But we want the whole 100 years to be like carpe diem and just loving our life. So enjoy the process. And most of all, keep soul crafting a business and a life that you absolutely love, crafting the way that you want to live your life, the people you want to spend the time with, where you want to live, what you're making a difference in the world, and never, ever give up on your dreams. And I will see you in the next podcast. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd absolutely love if you left a review on iTunes. It really helps me to get the podcast out there to support more people just like you to create soulful lives. And as a thank you, I'd love to send you my 20 personal affirmations for manifesting an aligned, magical, and fulfilling life. To access this freebie, simply send a screenshot of your review to soulcraft@carmenmarshall.com, and I'll send you my favorite affirmations and mantras straight to your inbox. All my love, and I'll see you on the next episode.